Welcome, everyone, to our candidate forum tonight, featuring all candidates for Santa Clara County Supervisor, District 1. I'm Carol Watts, President of the League of Women Voters of San Jose, Santa Clara. This forum is produced by our league and co-sponsored by the Choose Children Project of Silicon Valley Community Foundation. I'd like to introduce Christine Thorstensen, who will let us know about the work of that organization. Christine?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Christine Thorstensen, Director of Early Childhood Development at Silicon Valley Community Foundation. And on behalf of Choose Children 2022 and Silicon Valley Community Foundation, I'd like to welcome you tonight. And I'd first like to acknowledge our co-host and moderator for tonight's forum, the League of Women Voters of San Jose and Santa Clara. Thank you for all you've done to put this forum together. And a big thank you to our candidates for Santa Clara County District 1 Supervisor for joining us this evening and engaging in conversation on key issues for children and families in our county. Silicon Valley Community Foundation works in partnership to build a community where all can lead financially secure, safe, and fulfilling lives. We know that one way to do this is to start early and ensure that our youngest have the best possible start in life. Whether it's through advocacy, grant making, research, connection, or activation, our early childhood strategy works to dismantle systemic barriers and give all children and their families access to the care, education, and resources they need to flourish. And we know that when young children and families are supported, the impacts are far-reaching and long-lasting. We see better educational and career outcomes for our next generation, greater economic security and mobility for our early care workforce and their families, and a strengthened local economy. Choose Children 2022 is a nonpartisan initiative of the Community Foundation in Santa Clara and San Mateo counties, committed to prioritizing issues relevant to our youngest children, their families, and caregivers in local elections. We work to spark conversation, mobilize action, and advance solutions that make our region a place where families with children can live and thrive. Covering everything from safe places to play, to teacher training, to high quality, affordable childcare, early care and learning is a big sandbox, and we want more people to join us in it. We are really looking forward to tonight's discussion, and thank you all for joining us in our sandbox. And if you want to go to the next slide, we can share a bit about our upcoming events. So we have two more candidate forums planned. One is in San Mateo County. So if you happen to want to pop up to that one, we're more than welcome. On Thursday evening, we're hosting one for the county candidates for county supervisor for districts 2 and 3. And then next Monday on May 9th in the evening, we are hosting a San Jose mayoral primary candidate forum that is focused exclusively on early childhood issues. And this forum is in partnership with the Santa Clara County Office of Education, Strong Start, and Cadango. Information for all forums and to register are at choosechildren.org. So we'd love to have you come if you want to learn even more about what you start to hear tonight. So thank you again, and I will turn it back to you, Carol, and we can get started on our conversation.
Thank you, Christine. And to continue a little more about our organizations, the League of Women Voters was founded in 1920 when women finally obtained the right to vote after a lot of effort. And we are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization of women and men established to promote informed and active participation in government. We encourage members and the public to vote, pay attention to the actions of government bodies like the County Board of Supervisors, and even to run for political office. The League never supports nor opposes any candidate or political party. We divide our work into two distinct parts: voter service, which is what we're doing tonight by offering you a chance to watch and listen to the candidates answer questions. Our second part is advocacy. While we never will say vote for or against a candidate, after careful study and evaluation, we sometimes take a stand on legislation or ballot measures. The League is a strong grassroots organization. Our members are members not only of the local league, but also members of the League of Women Voters of the Bay Area, LWV California, and the United States League of Women Voters. There are 5 leagues in Santa Clara County, each supporting specific cities or towns. My guess is that all of you are residents of the cities that our league supports: San Jose, Milpitas, Morgan Hill, and Gilroy. We also support Santa Clara, but I don't think District 1 hits Santa Clara. So we heartily welcome you to join us. Either join online at lwvsjsc.org or find and print a form online to fill out and mail to us. On that form, you can choose to pay as little or as much as what fits your budget. In our voter service function, we hold candidates forums. And in the upcoming June election, there are a few local ballot measures, and we have prepared a balanced and fair analysis of some of those measures to help you decide what you think about them. There are no state propositions in June. We also do voter registration in various locations, including schools, libraries, farmers markets, and this year, even in some health facilities. Very importantly, we work hard to produce a website called Voters Edge. This website is very easy. You just enter your street address and your zip code, and you will get a list of all of the contests on your ballot. Our Voters Edge volunteers are now contacting all candidates and asking them to fill out information about themselves and their candidacy. You can easily see their top priorities, their experience, and information about their policy preferences. What might they do if they are elected? We've asked all candidates here tonight to provide this information on Voters Edge. I was interested to see how the boundaries of District 1 have changed this year, and so I found these 2 maps. If you are in any doubt about which district you are in, just go to either votersedge.org or sccvote.org to find your supervisor district. And now we're getting ready for the forum, and I want to introduce Mary Ann Haggerty, a past vice president of our league, who will moderate tonight's forum. Mary Ann, over to you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce our candidates for District 1 Supervisor, who are all with us tonight. First, we have Sylvia Arenas, Rich Constantine, Denelle Fedor, Johnny Khamis, and Claudia Rossi. So if all of you could turn on your cameras so we could see who you are, that would be fantastic. Okay, thank you. So the format today is as follows. Each candidate will make a 1-minute opening statement. Next, the candidates will respond to questions submitted from our league in advance. The questions have been reviewed by the league members, and so that to combine duplicates, broaden any that are specifically addressed to a single speaker, and eliminate those that are an attack on a speaker. Due to time limitations, not every question will be asked. Okay, before Zoom, we had a random drawing, and the candidates were all given a number, and they will start in that numerical order. And then the rest of the, when we get to the second question, the questions will be randomly chosen in a different order. Okay, each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. And then they will have time to make a closing statement at the end. They will have 1 rebuttal card, which is a 30-second rebut. If you do not use that rebuttal card, we have agreed that you can use it in your closing statement. Okay. So now we are ready to start. We're ready to begin. And I have the first question, and this is the order that we're going to be going in. Johnny Khamis, number 1, Claudia Rossi, number 2, Sylvia Arenas, number 3, Denelle Fedor, number 4, and Rich Constantine, number 5. So we're going to start with Johnny Khamis for his opening statement. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you for having me. As many of you know, I'm a refugee, and I was born in Lebanon back in 1976. My family immigrated to the United States, and we settled right here in San Jose. We struggled at first, and I had to learn how to speak English. My parents got full-time jobs. We actually were successful in attaining low-income housing. So low-income housing is very important to me. I worked at Safeway while working my way through college, getting a business degree. And later on, I started my own company as a financial advisor and worked at doing that for 20 years. I got into politics to take my skills and make government more effective and efficient and transparent. As a council member for the city of San Jose's District 10, I've achieved many results and saved millions of dollars for taxpayers. I'm ready to use my skills at the county level so that we can tackle some of our most pressing issues with new ideas and a focus on results.
Thank you, Johnny. All right, next we have Claudia.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to discuss these issues with all of you. My name is Claudia Rossi. I am the daughter of immigrant parents. My mother worked for the Los Angeles garment industry for many years to help put us through school. My father was an auto mechanic. I am a mother of 2 college-age children, the only candidate in this race that has been elected to county-wide office, where I have served on the County Board of Education for 8 years, overseeing and for providing fiscal oversight for $280 million budgets. I am also a chronic disease management nurse, and through my experience as an RN, I know the intricacies of the county system as I help my patients navigate these systems. I want to prioritize initiatives that help address the housing issues, homelessness, mental health in my tenure, should I be elected. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Claudia. Next, Sylvia Arenas.
Good evening, I'm Sylvia Arenas, and I'm really proud to be running for supervisor, as I never thought that I would be an elected official. I consider myself a public servant. I've always been in public service. That's what I've dedicated my career to, and making sure that children and families have the highest quality of life within our community. That's either through working with the city of San Jose and community engagement, or with First Five for about 10 years, or Gardner Family Health for about 3 years, or as a school board member. My focus has always been children and families, and my policies and my priorities that I focus on today also are on children and families, as I have 2 of my own, one of which was born really early in life, born at 3 pounds. And so we accessed early start, and I have an experience of a family that has gone through a system and has come out the other end. He's only 13, so we're still waiting, but glad to be here.
Thank you, Sylvia. Next, Denelle.
Hi, good evening, and thank you again for having this forum. I am the first generation to go to college. I'm one of 35 cousins, native of San Jose, and I worked at PW Supermarket in the bakery, and then sometimes worked 3 to 4 jobs during the summer to put myself through college. I majored in political science and women's studies, and I'm very proud of my work and working hard to succeed and meet my goal sets. I am the only Republican candidate running for the supervisor. Fiscal health means a great deal to me, fiscal responsibility. I have worked for 4 different elected officials, including Ken Yeager, a Democrat, and Pat Dando, a Republican. I am a former volunteer rape crisis center counselor, working with people in times of crisis, and a current case manager for Life Steps. I look forward to your questions tonight, and thank you in advance for your time.
Thank you, Denelle. And last but not least, Rich Constantine.
Save the best for last. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rich Constantine, and I am the mayor of Morgan Hill. I've served on the city council of Morgan Hill since 2010. I'm a retired firefighter, 25 years with the city of San Jose. But some things you may not know about me, I'm sensing a theme here. I am also first generation. My parents are from Jamaica and I was born in Brooklyn, New York. When I'm not putting out metaphorical fires as a council member and mayor of Morgan Hill, I volunteered. I volunteered for the American Red Cross for about 6 years. And then my girlfriend, my now wife, and I went to Haiti in 2011 to serve in one of only 2 operating hospitals on the island after the earthquake of 2010. So I am also on the board of Healthier Kids Foundation. So I know what it is to raise up a family, because I also have a 6-year-old daughter who may make an appearance here or there. But I enjoy and I hope that I will be able to answer all of your questions this evening. So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Now we're going to have a first question, and we're actually going to go in the same order that you just participated in. We're going to start with Johnny. So why do you want to be supervisor, and what are you going to do during your first term of office?
Well, I want to be a supervisor because I feel like that our way of dealing with many issues is not working. We can't keep trying to do the same things and expecting different results. One of the major issues that I'm hoping to tackle is using a 6-point plan to address homelessness. I've already had it published, it's on my website, but basically dealing with the root causes of homelessness, like drug addiction, mental health, people leaving the prison system early and being unprepared to get back into society, and family reunification with people who actually are from out of state and need to be reunited with their families, or at least let their families know that they're here. So many of the issues that I want to tackle have to do with homelessness and crime as well. I think that the jail system needs to be changed from a incarceration system to a rehabilitation system. So when people leave, they have more skills that they can count on and be reintegrated into society.
Okay, thank you, Johnny. The next person will be Claudia.
Thank you so much. Of the $9 billion budget of county, almost 60% is allotted to healthcare. County actually runs the largest healthcare delivery system in all of Northern California. And I want to serve on the board of supervisors because as a chronic disease management nurse, who is very, very well informed in the intricacies of county systems, I feel like I will provide a very valuable lens as we build through and past the pandemic. I want to prioritize, obviously, looking at the issue of homelessness, but I see something coming ahead that we need to really address. And it's the fact that by 2040, over 1 million of our citizens are seniors and will be seniors. I want to make sure we're developing a workforce to help our senior community remain in their homes and in their communities. And I'd like to address mental health issues throughout the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. All right, Sylvia?
It is like the $1 million question. For generational change. That's really why I want to run. I want to create the kind of change in our city and within our communities that you will be able to see for generations to come. We have seen generations worth of systemic racism, systemic issues, just poverty, crime, plaguing the same neighborhoods for generations. And so I've already begun to do a lot of policy work within my position as a council member, and I've had joint meetings with the county around sexual assault, around child well-being, around childcare. We funded childcare for the very first time in the city of San Jose. And so I'm creating some system changes that I hope will render generational change at the city level, and I hope to accomplish that at a county level.
Thank you. Thank you, Sylvia. Denelle?
I'm running to bring fiscal health, responsibility, and accountability to the county. Without fiscal health, we're not able to provide for any of the services that we're talking about. Just like our homes, if we're not paying our rent, our mortgage, if we're not keeping up with our our bills, we will fail. So it's really important to make sure that we have fiscal health at the county. For example, in 2008, we passed Measure A for retrofitting the hospitals. That measure is current today in phase 1. It's $500 million over budget in delays. Because of that, money's being taken from our general fund, which takes away money from our services like Choose Children. My priorities are supporting the Governor Newsom's Care Court, which is a statewide initiative to help chronically ill people get off the streets and into care that they deserve. I also prioritize crime and healthcare, and also ensure that we keep agriculture businesses safe and alive in South County. Thank you.
Thank you, Denelle. The last, Richard.
Great, thank you very much. So I'm running because I want to make sure that the services that are provided by the county are distributed evenly throughout the entire county. You know, in Morgan Hill, we work very well together as a team. In fact, we call each other teammates. And during the COVID crisis, which we are still in, but hopefully are almost done with, you know, the then president, Cindy Chavez, organized a meeting every Saturday where all the mayors of the county, as well as city managers, met and figured out a way to make sure that we got testing to everyone and made sure that we reached out to everyone that wasn't getting the information. So that is a type of thing that we need to do on the county level, is to continue that with all the issues that are facing all of us: the unhoused issue, the mental health and substance abuse issue, the ability of affordable housing. In Morgan Hill, we have per capita more affordable housing than any city in Northern California. These are things that can be replicated countywide.
Thank you. Thank you all. The next question is a little longer, and we're going to go backwards. So we're going to start with Richard, and I'm going to tell you, because it's a longer question for you to synthesize. Okay. So without affordable childcare, parents can't go to work. During the pandemic, 15% of providers countywide closed their doors. Estimates suggest that Santa Clara County currently needs 71,500 slots to serve its 114,000 births to the percentage 1,140,000 births to 5 population. With just over 53,000 licensed spaces and trained professionals to staff them, that leaves the county short. What will you do to help build early care and learning capacity to fill these critical unmet needs?
Well, part of the issue is going to be, you know, how we come out of COVID and making sure that we have the workforce in the county that will provide the services. As we all know, the services that are provided in the county aren't enough. We have almost 2 million people in this county, and we need to provide services. And unfortunately, other cities don't provide healthcare services that the county provides. So we're going to need to, the county is going to need to step up and provide those services. Now, through your own survey, the Mood of the County survey that you had, you know, 54% of the people said that they needed childcare in preschool. You know, that's something that has been highlighted during COVID. When I had the luxury of being able to stay home with my 6-year-old, my wife had to work. But I understand that there are families that didn't have that luxury, that had to go to work. And some of them had to make the decision on whether or not they were either going to go to work or stay home with their children. So providing those services that help people at least maintain their jobs is something that has to be a priority. And I wish I had more time.
Thank you. Richard.
Pretty in-depth question.
Right. Denelle?
Thank you. Certainly, it's a difficult question because none of us have a magic wand to, you know, provide the right answer to this question, or one that could be done quickly and swiftly, because it is something that is dire. A few things that I would like to do or like to see continue. One thing that did come from COVID is allowing people to work from home and maintaining that work-life balance. And being able to be home when the children go to school and come home. And I think it's important that we work with our private sector to make sure that continues to some extent. I know I work with people who have Section 8 housing vouchers, and many of them are able to work from home, and I think that's important. I think we have to expand what works. You know, with the county programs, the programs that are working for childcare, we need to expand those so that we're creating more opportunities for our working families.
Thank you, Denelle. All right, Sylvia?
Thank you for the question. This is an issue area that I've been working on even before the pandemic. And for the very first time, the city of San Jose invested in childcare. And I mean, licensed childcare providers received $10,000 to just hold them over during the pandemic, catch up with some bills, and hopefully with the effort, with the mission of stabilizing them. But what we also did was, it was multi-pronged. So we invested in Head Start, and that was a couple of million. We also stood up learning pods during the pandemic, and we augmented those ROC programs after school, so parents can stay at an 8-hour job. And finally, we are investing in a family, friend, and neighbor program through First 5, because we understand that a lot of the caregivers are not licensed providers, but grandma or auntie, and those environments should be safe.
Thank you, Sylvia. Claudia?
Thank you so much. A few initiatives that I hope to champion. One of them is to increase our partnerships with universities to attract more members of minority communities to receive professional development, to be able to open more healthcare centers in the neighborhoods, because we know that it is the most underserved communities that have the least childcare or quality childcare options. I also would like to work with the school districts. As they have declining enrollment, there are schools that are being closed. Those can serve as early childhood education daycare centers and early childhood centers. I also want to make sure we aggressively seek funding from the federal government to strengthen Head Start programs and make sure they're offered in more communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Johnny?
Thank you, and I too agree that the city of San Jose actually started working on this before I left office, and we created spaces in the libraries to host childcare. We worked with after school programs. We did a lot of things to help parents cope. But we need to also train these folks. They're small business owners, and we need to work with the chambers of commerce, the community colleges, to train people to be in licensed daycare. We also need to talk to our bigger employers, maybe work with other Silicon Valley Leadership Group and other nonprofits to encourage employers to provide facilities for families that'll help families. And in the end, they cannot get their employees. It's going to put a strain on the job market if we don't solve this problem. So we need to bring people to bear to work on this issue together.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next question is going to be, Sylvia, we're going to start with you. And you all touched on this a little bit in your opening statement, but what are your plans to help solve the homeless problem in our county? All right, we're going to start with Claudia. Sylvia, sorry. Sylvia.
Well, I've learned that there is no silver bullet for solving for homelessness and for our unhoused if we don't tackle some of the origins of homelessness, and that is the cost of living in this Bay Area, as well as the cost of living not staying in tune with the salaries. Really, our working class families are the ones that are living 2 hours away and commuting and coming here to provide that service that is so essential. And so we must make sure that we fight on behalf of workers, as well as find those programs that really work and that fall under that umbrella of preserving what we have, protecting what we have, and then really producing affordable housing, as well as having wraparound services that offer behavioral health and other support services that will create success.
Thank you, Sylvia. All right, we're going to have Johnny go next.
Well, you know, according to the county's own statistics, 42% of the homelessness people who are homeless are mentally ill. 35% are drug addicted. 27% have left the prison system. 19% are from out of state. We have to tackle each one of these issues separately. I have ideas on how to address all of these. But one of the things that I have worked on, called Laura's Law, a temporary conservatorship law that allows the most mentally ill folks to get the help that they need. Of course, my dog is barking. To get the help that they need and get off the streets is being expanded with the new care courts, which I do support. Sorry, may I answer this? My dog keeps barking here, but the care courts that are being proposed, and to take advantage of the $14 billion worth of funds that are being proposed by Governor Gavin Newsom to actually build mental health and drug addiction facilities. Those are some of the 6-point plan, and I'm sorry for my dog.
Thank you, Johnny. That's okay. We all have animals. Okay, Claudia?
This is a very important question, and as a chronic disease management nurse, what I see is a need to have more outpatient drug treatment counseling facilities, as well as outpatient mental health facilities. That is different than having an inpatient 24-hour-a-day custodial facility, which is the most expensive solution. Whenever possible, you're looking for the most for the least restrictive care center, and those are outpatient drug treatment, outpatient mental health facilities. And it's also important to prevent homelessness in the first place. The Board of Supervisors voted to partner with Destination Home to offer funding for families that are at risk of becoming homeless. Over 93% of families that receive this assistance remain in their homes. So prevention is an important part of this, of addressing this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Richard, Constantine.
Thank you very much. And as we've heard, you know, there's issues of homelessness that are not just people not being able to afford to buy a home. I think one thing I've always said, that you can build all the homes in the world, but if you don't fix the reason why people became homeless in the first place, that's not going to solve the issue. As was mentioned by my colleagues, you know, mental health and substance abuse are top of the list. I can remember as a firefighter working and working on patients that were homeless, mainly because of substance abuse issues or mental health issues. So we need to have the outpatient that Claudia mentioned, but we also have to have that inpatient as well, because there are people that need to have supervision 24/7, and we just can't have them walking around the streets. We have to provide them an ability to take care of themselves. But that's in the future. And right now, what we're doing in Morgan Hill is that we have worked with the county to provide housing for farm workers and people that are recently unhoused. We need also to work on the programs that we currently have. In Morgan Hill, we have a Safe Park program.
I'm sorry, the time is up.
And we need to expand that up.
Okay, last, Denelle.
Thank you. As I said earlier, I'm the only Republican candidate, and I support Governor Newsom's care court plan. I've been talking about this since March 11th when we first had our forum. And I believe that mental health is one of the primary reasons why we have such a big homeless population. And the care court would mandate all counties work in unison. And I think because the homeless population is so transient, it's really important to have a program from the state where counties can work together. I also think our old city hall should be refurbished and used as a mental health facility. It could be part of an inpatient, it can be part of an outpatient program. It can be used for if mentally ill people are taken by the police department because they committed a crime, instead of going to jail, they can go to this facility. I also support Joe Simidian's work on Laura's Law. I think it's a great contribution. It's not the end all, but it's certainly a great contribution to helping homeless people.
Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, the next question.
Marianne, I have my hand raised
Oh,
for
I'm
that.
sorry. You're gonna do the, okay.
I'm
go
gonna do
ahead.
it.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna
I'm
do
sorry.
it.
It
Oh,
was.
you don't want to do it too
it
early.
was-
I'm throwing
was
caution to
hidden.
the wind.
Okay, it was hidden in the bookcase over here.
Oh yeah, that's
Go like
that's-
this. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do
All right.
this one next time.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Well, there is no next time, so this will be my only time that I will do this. What I wanted to add was when I was working in drug court, I really found to be true what Mayor Constantine was saying earlier about having inpatient care. There isn't enough inpatient care for women or parents who have children. And, we have places like House on the Hill, but that's one of the very few. Otherwise, you have some private corporations offering this. And so I plan as a supervisor to invest in that inpatient care as well.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll go to the next question then, and we're going to start with Claudia on this question. So how would you improve public transportation in the county?
Absolutely. I think as a District 1 resident, I feel that our part of the county has been forgotten. Our families are not able to connect to so many of the amenities that this county offers. One of the things that I believe needs to happen is that transportation services need to coordinate with employers to identify the traveling needs and patterns of working people and make sure that those bus lines and those transportation lines work with the schedule of people who have to get to work and get back to work. And also, I think coordination with the school district community as well to ensure that those transportation lines work and increase transportation for our seniors who really, really struggle to go to the doctors and the labs and all of that. So I'm going to advocate for more transportation for our senior community. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. All right, Mr. Constantine, Richard Constantine.
You can call me Rich. Thank you, Marianne. So
Okay.
I am the vice chair of VTA. So that is something that has been in the forefront of my mind, not only since I've been on the board of VTA, but since I've been on the council, because in South County, we have a dearth of transportation. We have one bus line that can get our residents to San Jose, and we have 3 trains that go north in the morning and 3 trains that come south in the evening. So we don't really have public transportation. But what we can do and what we need to work on are taking advantage of some of the grants and things that we have. In Morgan Hill, we have taken advantage of a grant where anyone can walk within 10 minutes of a virtual stop, where it's a kind of like a Uber type of thing, but it's through VTA, where they can walk to in the city of Morgan Hill, where they can walk 10 minutes to a virtual stop and get transportation to go to the store or take care of things that they need. And that's throughout the city. So these are things that are innovative that we have to think about, but transportation it's a hard nut to crack. And I wish I had more time to talk more about it.
Thank you, Rich. Denelle?
Thank you. There's a few different things I like to share. One is the VTA. There's been a grand jury report that has asked for the removal of politicians to be on the board and instead have people with transportation experience be on the VTA board. And I think the reason why, and I think it's a really good, recommendation. And so I think we need to do that. We need people with actual transportation experience, and I think that will be helpful. I don't think the use of ETA trains are good for our budget. It's $600 per train versus $200 per bus. And buses are much more nimble. They can get to places faster. But along with that, we need to redo our bus stops. Many of the bus stops in the county have no place to sit. There's no covering, especially for seniors who have to wait in the cold or wait in the hot sun. I'm against the VTA line at Eastridge. In fact, Jim Zito, an elected Evergreen trustee, has brought up this issue 2 years ago about the 600 million over budget.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Johnny?
Yeah, the first thing we need to do is stop wasting money on projects that don't work. I just did an article on the VTA, and the light rail extension from Alum Rock to Eastridge. It is not only over budget, but what people don't understand is that it actually removes 2 lanes of traffic. The amount of people that it's planning to move per day is at best a little over 4,000 people, but each lane that they are taking away will move 1,900 people per hour. And we're going to be spending $600 million to do it. It is not an idea that is even working. They actually have been cutting light rail in the Almaden Valley and other places because it is cheaper to operate buses. We need to provide transportation for where people actually live. South County has a lot of people that commute, and 78% of their population leaves to the north every day. So we need to have more services there.
Thank you. And last but not least, Sylvia.
Of course, we have to start with local jobs. We don't want people to get into their car and spend 2 hours in the 101 or whatever freeway they choose. We have to have local jobs, and then for them to live in the city that they work in. So that means dense and careful housing in transit corridors. First of all, that's good planning, and this is the direction that I think most cities are heading into. Now, aside from that, I think all of those, some of the suggestions and a lot of that hard work that Mayor Constantine had talked about, you know, the HOV lanes, the additional bus lines and trains, especially going south during high times, there has to be an investment in this kind of infrastructure. And that's what light rail is as well. If light rail had begun in the east side where working people actually use public transportation, we would have a different kind of result.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is another long one, and we're going to start with Denelle for that one. We know that 85 to 90% of a child's brain is developed by age 5. This means that a child who feels safe and loved has time to play and explore and will have lifelong benefits. It also means that children who experience trauma will carry these burdens for a long term. Where does early childhood well-being fit within your priorities, and what are your plans to ensure the basic needs and well-being of our county's children and their families?
Thank you for that question. You know, I am currently a case manager for Life Steps, and I work with families who have a Section 8 housing voucher. Many of these families are working poor, and childcare and being able to provide for their children, especially during COVID, was definitely a challenge. So I think number one is I always like to look at what the programs that the county is offering that are working. And Choose Children, this group is an excellent resource to see what is working and where can we spend their dollars so that we know the outcome is going to meet the users, right? And so I think that's the most important, is to start with what you have and what's working. I think it's important to have training programs for parents and for caregivers who are watching our children so that they also are empowered.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next, we're going to have Sylvia.
So my bachelor's is in human development and early childhood. And so I spent 10 years with First 5, but most importantly, I saw the development in my own child, which he needed early start, and the difference between an early birth and a typical birth, which is with my daughter, who's now 7. It's so important to have that level of investment, therapeutic services, and the different array of support services and experiences to children at a very young age. That's what First 5 is all about. And we must carry that information into different systems, whether it's the police officer responding to a child abuse incident, or it's that teacher who can't settle down a child. We all have to have this level of understanding so that we can encourage and support our children no matter where we are. And that's the kind of perspective I will take into the county and move forward.
Well, thank you. Okay, so Johnny, what's next?
Yeah, well, I could tell you what, as a child, I've had to catch up when everybody around me knew how to speak English. I had to stay after and learn English, to be frank. So I want to make sure that opportunities for families who are with children are there. That's why when I was a council member, every year at the end of the year, I would donate my money to the YMCA so that they can do their summer training programs in the Santa Teresa area where I was a council member. We used to help the families in the Hoffman Viamonte area have summer learning so that the kids won't lose the learning over the summer. And I've been in the city of San Jose. We supported a lot of programs, including providing Wi-Fi for kids who need it, and you know, programming computers, all kinds of things that to help kids have opportunities. And I'll look for opportunities to expand services like those.
Thank you, Johnny. The next person is Rich.
Thank you very much. You know, the county has some great programs, but we don't have enough people. You know, our child services and senior and families, that there's just not enough. Our child support services, there's only like 169 employees. So those need to be expanded, but that's going to take time. So we need to expand on our partnerships. As I mentioned in my opening, I am on the board of Healthier Kids Foundation, and I wrote down some stats that the Healthier Kids Foundation, we concentrate on hearing, vision, and also dental. 1 in 3 have urgent dental needs, 1 in 7 have vision problems, 1 in 25 have hearing issues, and 1 in 50 need insurance. These are all things that have to be expanded upon and worked on. And we need to fix the problem as quickly as possible, is to work on our current partnerships, because building the agency, building up the employee amount will take time, but we have partnerships that we currently have that we can expand upon.
Thank you. And lastly, Claudia.
Thank you. Of the over $9 billion budget of county, 1.05 is devoted to the children of our county. The county actually moved years ago to ensure that every single child in Santa Clara County has health insurance coverage. And through that health insurance coverage, we could definitely connect children to services. One of the things that I will definitely champion is to ensure that we decentralize county services by partnering with school districts to bring school-based clinics to provide vaccinations, health assessments, immunizations, screenings to detect autism, to detect cognitive impairments at a very early stage. When families can access care through their school community, they utilize services to benefit their children. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start with Johnny this time again and go through our order. So this one, climate change is an essential threat. If elected, what steps would you take to reduce greenhouse gas emissions? Okay, we're going to start with Johnny.
Well, you know, I've looked at ways when I was a council member to recycle some of the dirty plastics. And there are some technologies that I've been pushing forward on dirty plastics. If we recycled those, we wouldn't have to ship them all the way around the world to have somebody else deal with it and then ship them back as other plastics. I also actually introduced a memo to City Council a while back, and actually went forward to people with a mower and blower buyback program, where we have these small business owners turn in their gas mower blower systems, which are very polluting, and go electric. Those are a couple of the ideas that I was working on before I left City Council, and I'm looking forward to working on them when I get back in as a county supervisor.
Thank you. Okay, Claudia?
I love this question because it's very pertinent to District 1 candidates. The District 1 has such an opportunity in the implementation of the agriculture master plan that was led by the Open Space Authority. It's preservation of open spaces, it's protection of agriculture, it's incentivizing landowners to use sustainable farming practices. It's preservation of farming to protect the water table, to invest in more open space in order to safeguard our ecosystems. And that is all spelled out in the master plan that has been proposed. And so as District 1 supervisor, I will also fight urban sprawl to make sure that we're preserving those open spaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. All right, Sylvia?
Thank you. It really goes back to the transportation question. I think the way to really reduce emissions is to make sure that we have local jobs and people aren't driving so far. I think that's the greatest impact that we can have on a daily basis. But there's also things that we can integrate into our systems. And right now, the county hasn't funded the agricultural plan, even though I think it's a way to mitigate the impact to our environment. We need to make sure that we look at how we're funding what we prioritize. Otherwise, the priorities that are not budgeted just don't really happen. I'm really proud to say that I voted on a clean energy department, which is the biggest impact that we've had at the city of San Jose. I hope to take that kind of perspective at the supervisor level and look at how we can increase our tree canopy and lessen some of those emissions as well.
Thank you, Sylvia. Okay, Denelle?
Thank you. Couple of things. First, I want to recognize Claudia. I agree with her that we need to ensure we stay on point with our agricultural plan. And we need to make sure we don't tax our businesses to implement the climate issues that they'll need to be done. We need to make sure that we make it working, that it's workable for them. I also think that, recycling is really important, and I think it starts at home. My partner, Jim Zito, he is an elected board trustee in Evergreen. He has been composting and recycling for forever. And he's very much an environmentalist. And so we reuse a lot of what we use. And I think that's really important to do. I also think that we need to need to make the best use of our land. We need to build high density where we can, so that the resources are not pushed out in a sprawl, but they're more direct.
Thank you. And lastly, Rich?
Thank you very much. So here in Morgan Hill, we instituted our climate action plan, and that entails cutting our carbon, our greenhouse gas emissions by 30% by 2030. Of all the things that cause greenhouse gases on road, which is cars on the freeways, and then in-home gas use, produce the majority of the carbon gas emissions. So by cutting those, we're helping to do that in Morgan Hill, but we're a small city. So this is something that, again, with teamwork, working together, we can replicate this throughout the entire county. One city alone can't do it. And talking about transportation, I'm an advocate for expanding our roads here in Morgan Hill because we have this constant traffic jam. And when cars stop, they're producing more greenhouse gases and they're polluting our city more. So as we get more electric cars, we're not going to see less cars, we're going to see more. But we need to concentrate on making sure that we get gas out of our vehicles.
Thank you, Rich. All right, Rich, we're going to start with you and go backwards. And this is another long question. Okay. Okay. Responsibility and support for those under school age are shared among many state and local agencies and profit agencies that do important work, but don't always coordinate. As a result, young children often fall through the cracks. As county supervisor, what will you consider under your purview, and how will your leadership translate into systems, policy, and budgets? How will you define success?
Well, this goes along with what I was talking about, trying to work and coordinate together. Because again, if we do things 15 different ways, we're not going to get a good result. So coordinating, working within the county own jurisdiction, but also working with our nonprofits and our faith-based groups are ways that we can help to maximize the reach that we have to make sure our kids don't fall through the cracks. I know during the COVID crisis here in Morgan Hill, our school district found that 400 kids did not have access to internet. So that meant that before COVID, they were having to go to a local restaurant or the library to get internet access. So these are things that we have found out through COVID that we need to expand upon. So getting internet out there, making sure that families have the ability to have their kids have the same access to the internet as everyone else does. But these are issues that I can't explain in 1 minute. But again, through coordination, I think this is how you tackle the issues.
Thank you, Rich. Okay, Denelle, 4.
Yeah. I would define success based for your question is when the end users are getting what they need. So when the money and that we're spending is actually getting to the end users. A couple of things. One is I do think that non-partnerships work. I work for a nonprofit and I think we do a great job. And I'm very proud of the work that I do. And I'm very proud of the work that the county does. I think they do a good job. I think the area of improvement is we do need to see, we kind of reel in what everyone's doing. And so I think I think audits are good. It just shows what's being spent, what's happening, and what's going out to the end users. And if there's overlap, we should look at that. We should make sure that the left hand knows what the right hand's doing, and we don't always do. And then that can be problematic for the end user. We need to coordinate. Rich had said that earlier, and I agree with him. It's not, we also need to succeed in collaboration.
Thank you. Sylvia?
During the pandemic, I coordinated digital inclusion efforts with County Office of Ed with the county, and we purchased hotspots. They purchased devices. We made sure that those things went out to the school districts that needed them. And once again, we did it with childcare. We funded City of San Jose childcare providers, and they funded the remaining. It's really about collaboration. That's what we've been doing with these joint meetings, and I've had 2 of them for child well-being items, and we are coordinating with the different systems to make sure that we don't duplicate what is already out there. I'm also doing a work group to make sure that at a micro level that we're really coordinating the needs of our families and being responsive to their needs and making sure that the budget also lines up that way. And so that's what you would expect at a supervisor level as well. It's really about collaboration.
Thank you. Claudia?
Thank you so much. The nonprofit community has really given us indicators that can measure how well we are serving our children. Among them, the developmental assets. We have a framework to literally survey our community to see what communities are offering more developmental assets so that our children can thrive. We could also look at the 3rd grade reading proficiency levels, the middle school math proficiency levels, the high school graduation rates. And now, thanks to Senator Jim Bell, who has so endorsed my campaign, we could also measure the engagement with children who have access to mental health in the school site community. And so the indicators are there, and by partnering more fully with our nonprofit entities that literally quantify how well we're doing and aligning the budget resources, I think we can really make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Johnny?
Yeah, well, without measurable outcomes, there's no way to measure, and there's no way to have oversight. So the first step is to create something that we can measure. It's all I'm 100% in favor of trying new ideas, but without a way to measure it, we will never know if we've been successful. In fact, the county's own the last audit on mental health said that we need oversight, we need coordination, and we need measurable outcomes in their assessment of what they're spending, because they think that there's a lot of duplicative services. We need to be looking at that. I have a track record of looking at waste. I found waste at VTA because of an audit, and I've actually found ways to save money all throughout my career at the city of San Jose, and I'll continue to look for ways to do things better.
Thank you, Johnny. Okay, the next question is for Sylvia, and it's a short one. How will you support services for those who are affected by drug addiction in the county?
I mentioned before that I was in drug court, and really drug abuse is generational. And you really have to have some intense inpatient care. I'm glad to hear that the county is going to invest in a mental health facility behind Valley Med that will also include, for the very first time, youth. And so those two things sometimes have to be connected together. And really, it's about having systems talking with one another. We all work sometimes in silos. These systems are huge, but we have to take a look at how can we coordinate to make sure that the mental health needs as well as the substance abuse needs are met, and whether they are parents, and how to host the best environment for that unit of family. Aside from that, you need to make sure that you put the budget to make a lot of these services happen.
Thank you. Johnny?
Well, I'm a big proponent of temporary conservatorship. I've worked on Laura's Law to have the county actually implement it. It's been around for many years, but the county had not implemented it since 2002. After 6 years worth of lobbying and getting other cities to write letters in favor of it, it did finally pass. And we are starting to help the mentally ill. But it comes at a cost. We cannot wait for our kids to become homeless. We can't wait for them to get severely drug addicted. We have to have potential, conservatorship laws, the ones that are being discussed at the state level, as a tool. I'm going to be advocating for the care courts that the governor has described, because I think that's one of the only ways that families can have some control over adult children or siblings, and in some way hopefully get them off the street. And the drugs are very powerful. People are dying from these drugs. It can't sustain. We can't sustain the same thing.
Thank you. Okay, Claudia?
I think we, in addition to having more drug treatment facilities, we also need to make sure that those that are incarcerated and in the process of being released back into communities receive, while incarcerated, those drug treatment services. We also need to pay close attention to the rates of drug use among our young adults. After this pandemic, educators are reporting an alarming rate of behaviors that are indicative of drug use, and that has really blown up. We've had OxyContin deaths, fentanyl deaths in our county, and investing more in school-based mental health services that also help parents identify and work with their children to get them the help they need before they develop more serious drug addicted behaviors is really important as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Well, can I just say ditto and let's move, you can move on, because Claudia is absolutely right. I mean, those are issues that we definitely need to work on, but it takes money. So Adding on to that, I would also make sure that we seek as much grant funding as possible. You know, one of the things that we all know, and I've said tonight, is that the county provides fantastic services. They just don't have enough. And it'd be great if we had all the money in the world to throw at it. We don't. So we have to make sure that we work our way up to it, because we can't, provide the infrastructure right away, because that costs money. So we have to work with our partners. And again, drug addiction, substance abuse, and the mental health issues are one of the top causation of homelessness. So we can solve a lot of issues if we deal with the issues that are before us, and making sure that we don't just arrest people, because right now that's the two places they get to go: the hospital or jail. That's not right.
Thank you, Rich. Denelle?
Thank you. A few things I want to share. You know, I'm really happy that we live in a society where we're speaking about mental health openly. Rosalind Carter, President Carter's wife, wrote many books about mental health back in the 70s. So it just kind of shows you how long it takes sometimes to make something, bring it to the forefront. I've been supporting the Care Court, Governor Newsom's Care Court, since I began campaigning in February. I think it's really important because it does come from the state and provides the resources for all counties in the state. Second, I support Joe Simitian's work on assisted outpatient treatment, such as Laura's Law. He has been doing a stellar job on moving this forward, and he was actually in the assembly when this moved forward from there 20 years ago. I also think it's important to provide counseling. People are addicted sometimes for personal reasons. They're not dealing with issues, and so they become addicted. So I think counseling is really important, and we just need to continue to provide good health care so that people can receive these resources.
Thank you. The next question is another long one, and it's for Claudia. Okay. Economic vibrancy in our region relies on making it a place where families with young children thrive. In the most recent census, our county's population of children's birth to age 5 has declined by 10%. A survey by Choose Children revealed that 54% of our county's voters with children say they are considering moving out of the area. Center-based childcare now averages $15,000 to $20,000 a year. If you can find it, how will you, as a county supervisor, improve access to quality early learning and care to create a future in Santa Clara County for working families?
Thank you so much for that question. My husband is an educator, and we talk about the fact that we definitely have school facilities now that we have declining enrollment that could serve as daycare centers. So much of it is already furbished to provide learning environments for children. But I also think we need to incentivize the business community to provide those centers in the workplace, because I think that so many families find that they have to spend a lot of their income on childcare if they're even able to find it. So the more workplaces could offer, because they're incentivized, these daycare centers, the more we'll be able to keep those working families. I also think that the county can locate these Head Start programs close to major employers, and I think that'll go a long way to addressing this issue as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich?
So that, as I said in my opening about, or somewhere earlier today when I talked about childcare and the fact that I was lucky because I could work from home, but there were a lot of people, and unfortunately, majority of those people were lower income people that had to make the decision of going to work or staying home with their children. That can't be the option. So one of the things that I would do is start off by making sure that our own county employees would have that ability to have healthcare, possibly at work, or childcare at work, so that they can come to work, so that can help provide the services that are badly needed by our residents. but also, again, going back to partnerships, we have to make sure that we partner with the people that can help provide the services as quickly as possible. But childcare is right up there. As you said, there's 54% in the survey that said that was an issue that prevented them from either working or providing a roof over their head, because childcare is just so expensive.
Thank you. Denelle?
Yeah,
Denelle?
sorry,
sorry.
it took me a while. I do think that childcare costs are a contributing factor. My response, though, might be a little bit different than other people. I think that our continuous raising of taxes and the continuous raising of fees is a contributor to our working families not being able to provide and stay on budget every month. The city of San Jose, for example, is due to increase the garbage fee by 8% on June 7th. They're set to increase the sewer and use fee by 9.2%. Those two fees combined is over $95 a month that each working family needs to pay. Not to mention that the property taxes have increased, and we pay on each gallon of gas, regardless of the cost of gas, we pay $1.27 in taxes and fees. And that's what really is the contributing factor to a lot of our working poor, our working families, our single parent. They can't afford to absorb all these fees, and it comes out with not being able to afford and stay here in the area.
Thank you. Johnny?
Well, I do believe that we're overtaxed and overfeed. I think it's important for us to also recognize that we need workforce housing. In my tenure at City Hall, I've actually introduced ideas on how to create workforce housing and use the private sector and JPAs and to buy instead of build workforce housing. On top of that, we do need to partner up with our chambers of commerce and our schools, our community colleges, to train the future generation and make sure that we train people how to take care of young people. And so, and then hopefully businesses will actually recognize that they need to do this to maintain their workforce. So it's important to bring people together to train and educate and then provide facilities, of course, but to make sure that we don't continually raise fees as well.
Thank you. And lastly, Sylvia? Sylvia, you're on mute. That's okay. Start.
I thought I clicked on that one.
Yes.
So I rolled out a family-friendly initiative about maybe three and a half years ago. Included in that was a childcare option for on-site childcare option for our city employees. Unfortunately, we had some issues with having that be a benefit. And so we have to work out how unions view some of these fringe benefits, and that these kinds of services are not part of the benefit package, but part of the basic offering for families so that they can stay together. The other thing is that I have moved our scholarships so that they are place-based and they're in the places where there's a lot of poverty, and the school sites are Title I schools, as well as making sure that we have braided a lot of different funding with different systems.
Yes, Claudia, you want to use your 30 seconds?
I do, and I think it's because my mother lives with us, and we've had many conversations about the contribution of seniors to their community. We really at the county need to make sure that we invest in a workforce that'll keep grandparents in the communities where they have raised their children. Grandparents have a great deal to contribute to the upbringing of grandchildren. My daughter and my son have benefited from the fact that my mom is here in the home. When I wasn't able to get home after school, my mom was there. So we need to make sure that investing in our senior community is an investment for our children as well. Thank you.
Thank you all. We have time for one more question before closing. And we're going to start with Denelle for this one. Okay, so panel, what else do you want us to know about your candidacy that we haven't spoken of this evening? Denelle, you could start.
Okay. You know, I think your questions have really covered a lot of ground. Very good questions. I would just say that a couple of things. One is I did share earlier that I'm one of 35 cousins. I'm the first person to go to college, and I paid for it myself. I understand what it means to work hard and set goals. And I was able to do that because I managed my money. I saved my earned income. A dollar bill means a lot to me. That's why, you know, if I have $10,000 bills, that means even more to me. So I think fiscal health is just really paramount to me. And I'm very concerned about the lack of fiscal health we have at the county because it is intruding upon being able to provide the services. And so I just wanted to reiterate my commitment to fiscal health and the importance that we need it so we can provide the services to those that we've been talking about tonight.
Thank you. Sylvia?
Marianne, is this our closing?
No, this is the last question before closing.
Okay, got it. All right, so I think one of the areas that we didn't talk about is public safety, and this is one of the priorities that I've held central to my service, as well as economic recovery, and of course, children and families. The truth is that we need a different kind of community policing, and I think we're on our way. The city has provided a path for us to reimagine what public safety is and what that really means for our communities of color that sometimes get over policed. And so we've brought the idea of equity and making sure that we have a systemic way of policing our folks in a way that allows them to participate and tell us what it is that they need. And so I think public safety is one of the areas that we haven't talked about, but it is absolutely important, and I'm very supportive of our wonderful police officers.
Thank you. Johnny?
Yeah, one of the things that we haven't discussed is, I want to be there for the community. As a council member, I used to hold open meetings where a constituent and the public can come in without an appointment and talk to me about their issue, and I intend to do that as well. I used to do 2 newsletters a month, and we talked about issues that we're going to vote on, not after. I didn't discuss things after we voted on them, so that we can get the public to weigh in on topics. So my main, the main point here is that I will be responsive to my constituents. And I also had a record of trying to attend every, like Lions Club or all these nonprofits that used to invite me to their events. I tried to attend as many as I could, just because I want people to know that I care about them, I care about their issues, and I want to help them solve them.
Thank you. Rich?
Thank you very much. And Sylvia, don't forget the firefighters, speaking as a retired firefighter. So, District 1 is 70% of the entire county. And we have many issues that are unique to the entire county. But one of the things that we talked about is natural resources. We also didn't touch upon the use of recycled water. We're going through a drought right now, and I serve on the Water Commission, Valley Water's Water Commission. And in 2014, I was the only voice that kept saying, we need to use more recycled water. So being able to recognize issues and address them, again, I'm hammering this theme, but it works, is working as a team. Morgan Hill per capita, not even per capita, we've saved percentage-wise more water than anybody else in the county. Why did we do that? Because we had a plan. Now, as a county supervisor, I would take that plan or anybody else's plan and try and replicate that to make sure that we spread that out so that we can work together.
Thank you, Rich. Okay, the last person is Claudia.
I'd like to share with you that the California State Assembly honored me with their Peacemaker Award years ago, because I brought together social justice groups in South County along with our law enforcement community There were issues that were dividing the community and building a lot of tension between our Latino community and our law enforcement officers in South County. And the work that I undertook to bring them together, to have events at our churches and our community centers, to connect police officers to our Latino community. The work was so transformational that it was recognized at the state assembly level. And I'm very proud of that. I am a coalition builder. I am able to bring people that have different views, and in order for them to look at the commonality of the best interests of our community. I'm very proud of that, and I want to share that with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Well, we're on for closing remarks, and Sylvia used her 30 seconds. So the rest of you will have 90 seconds if you want that to conclude your statements, okay? And we're going to start with Rich, by Denelle, for Sylvia, Claudia, and then Johnny last, okay? So, pardon, Rich?
No, I was going to start, but go ahead.
Okay, ready, let's go.
Okay. Thank you, Marianne. And thank you very much for this evening. And thank you, everyone. And thank you to my colleagues for having this great discussion. You know, it's a very humbling experience when people who you respect actually say they want you to represent them in the Board of Supervisors. I have been blessed to have the endorsement of Cindy Chavez, current supervisor, but also the endorsement of Zoe Lofgren, who's also served as a supervisor and is as we all know, currently in Congress. It's a very humbling thing. Also, Mike Honda, again, former supervisor who served in Congress as well, has endorsed my campaign, as well as state legislators like Robert Rivas. So I don't take those endorsements lightly. I take the lessons that I've learned as a council member and as mayor of Morgan Hill to replicate those things that have made the city of Morgan Hill so wonderful. And I believe the county of Santa Clara is a wonderful place, but we all know there are issues. But I believe that the county is going in the right direction. I don't believe that there is massive things that need to be fixed, but we have massive problems that need to be fixed and addressed. And to do that, again, the theme is we have to work together. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you. Okay, Denelle.
Thank you. Thank you again for hosting this. I would be honored to be your next elected supervisor for District 1. As I said earlier, I am the only Republican. I think that fiscal health is paramount in all government agencies. I have worked for 4 different elected officials, including Johnny Khamis for 6 years, Pierluigi Oliverio as a chief of staff, Ken Yeager, and Pat Dando. When I was a chief of staff, I co-wrote Measure W, which changed the pension, pension reform. It was overwhelmingly supported by voters. We kept the current pension for those employees. We made sure it was fair, and then we changed the pension for new employees. It was not challenged at all. It was accepted. That pension reform is still saving millions of dollars for the city of San Jose, and that's an example of how you can save money and not lay people off, not change the dynamics, but it's a way to save money so that you have more money to provide for your end users and for people who need it most. I was a former president of the Santa Teresa Foothills Neighborhood Association. My commitment to open space. I also lived on 2 farms, an almond orchard and a family farm. So I'm very supportive of agriculture. I'm a former board member with the San Jose Police Foundation. Public safety is paramount. I'm the only candidate who has shared that they will open a district office in South County to make sure that government is more accessible for South County residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Sylvia.
Sorry about that. So I am a public servant, and that's what I wanted to end with. My career has led me to this point. I've always worked for community organizations and the city of San Jose and commissions. I have a master's in public policy because I wanted to be prepared to deal with some of the systemic issues. I never meant to be an elected official, but this is where I think that you can make the most change. When you change the rules, you change the game for our families, and then you change the outcomes for those families. I really want to create generational change. I want to undo some of the harm that has been done to people of color and communities that are poor through some of the systemic oppression and racism. And so you can expect somebody who is a collaborator, who has experience, and who will always continue to be transparent.
Thank you. Another person who used up their rebuttal card is Claudia. So 60 seconds, okay?
13 months ago, I began knocking on doors in recognition that a very important part of campaigning is making sure that you listen to the community and that you learn from them what issues most affect their lives. I'm very proud of that. I have knocked on doors, listening, learning from the community. I have been endorsed by more current and former county supervisors, Susan Ellenberg, Otto Lee, Dave Cortese, Jim Bell, Rod Diridan. I have been endorsed by Ash Clara, by former county supervisor Blanca Alvarado, by social rights and activist icon Dolores Huerta. That was a particularly big honor to have her endorsement. I am a registered nurse who will prioritize preventive health in recognition that if we invest in prevention, we will save lives and we will also safeguard our fiscal health. Thank you.
Okay. And last but not least, Johnny.
Thank you. You know, I've been a leader in the city of San Jose on fiscal responsibility. I've been a leader for improving public safety. I've been a leader that's fought for results. We can't continue doing the same thing and expecting different results. I'll push for new fact-based solutions on homelessness that address the root causes, like mental health, drug addiction, and the broken rehabilitation system. I'll push for new ideas on creating affordable housing. I'll push for new ideas on dealing with crime. I'm an independent that has been endorsed by a vast amount of people on diverse political views, whether they be elected officials, community and education leaders, and public safety leaders have all joined my campaign to support my effort to bring change.
Ooh.
I'm ready to use my skills and experience to demand fiscal responsibility, accountability, and results for the problems we collectively face. My name is Johnny Khamis. I hope that all of you will join Johnny and support my campaign for county supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you all. Let's give them a hand. That concludes our forum. I would like to thank the candidates for participating. I would also like to thank all the volunteers who made this forum possible. And now I'd like to turn our forum over to our president, Carol Watts.
Thank you so much, Mary Ann. I almost got everything done to switch
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to all of the candidates and to Mary Ann, who's done such a great job moderating this forum. I'd like to note some basic dates about the election on June 7th. You probably have already received your voter information guide from the Secretary of State. In about 1 week, the Registrar of Voters will start mailing the paper ballots to all registered voters. And you have several options for returning this ballot. Just put it in the envelope and mail it, or find a drop box near you and deposit your envelope there, or return it to a vote center. Go to sccvote.org to find lots of great information about voting on Election Day. And again, I want to remind you to go to votersedge.org to find information about all races on your ballot. For example, what about all those state executive contests? Who's running for the Secretary of State? state controller, etc. We haven't been hearing too much about those yet. Also, the recording from tonight's event will be posted on the page for this race, the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors District 1 on Voters Edge, so that people who could not attend, or if you just want to listen again, you've got an opportunity to do so. You can usually find ways to contact each candidate on via Voters Edge using email if you want to ask more questions of them. So please note that information gets added to Voters Edge periodically up until the day before the election. So check back often. And you might also want to check easyvoter.org for a 4-page pamphlet available in 5 different languages with clear descriptions of voting in California and information about the statewide offices on your ballot. The leagues in Santa Clara County are producing more forums. In fact, there's one going on right now, if anybody's in Congressional District 16. And it's not too late to register for that one or for the other 2 that are coming up, the Santa Clara County Assessor and California Assembly District 26. So you can just go to our website to register for any of those. So we hope that the insights that you've gained from this forum will aid you in making your decision in this race. So please vote on or before June 7th. Thank you so much for attending tonight. And a large thank you again to our candidates for their answers in the comments to help all of us decide which candidate best reflects our values. Good night, all.